Before Renee Marsden, an exciting period of life unfolded. She studied to be a hairdresser, dreaming of one day opening her own beauty salon, preparing to celebrate her 21st birthday, and planning to move into a new apartment. The girl was crazy about her boyfriend and eagerly awaited their upcoming wedding. Renee thought she had met the man of her dreams. She told her family that his name was Braden, he was 24 years old, and he had a great job. However, in reality, she had never met him, and someone else was writing the story of her life. It was a story with a sad ending, where the liar who played Renee and her entire family like puppets would eventually be exposed. The question is, will this bring justice to all the victims of this cruel deception? Renee was born on October 15, 1992, in Sydney, Australia, to Teresa and Jamie Dether. Soon after, her parents separated, and Teresa married Mark Marsden, who became the father figure Renee knew. She grew up as a kind, joyful, and sociable girl, deeply loving her parents and younger siblings. Anticipating her approaching 21st birthday, Renee started talking about moving out of her parents' house and living with her cousin, Stephanie. It was an exciting time for Renee overall. She eagerly looked forward to celebrating the occasion with her family and friends. The only thing that cast a shadow over her happiness was the absence of one important person in her life, her boyfriend Braden Spiteri. Although they had been together since late 2011 and planned to get married after Renee turned 21, Braden couldn't personally congratulate her on the occasion because he was in Goulburn Prison in New South Wales due to a car accident that resulted in the death of his closest friend. In the winter of 2011, Renee shared with her mother that her best friend Camila Zaidan had introduced her to a young man whom she had fallen in love with, Braden Spiteri. She explained that he was 24 years old, attended a prestigious school, and worked in his family's construction company before ending up in prison. The photo of Braden that Renee showed Camila depicted an attractive young man with a slightly rugged appearance, perfect jawline, and piercing gaze. Renee explained to Teresa that they mainly communicated on Facebook. She couldn't visit her boyfriend because he had given up his visitation rights in exchange for a shorter sentence, and they couldn't talk on the phone because nobody should know that he existed. However, they could exchange messages, which they did constantly. Their romance escalated quickly, and in December 2011, Braden reached out to Renee's mother to assure her of his serious intentions towards her daughter. However, after some time, Teresa grew tired of the virtual relationship between Renee and Braden, and she wrote to him, telling him not to mess with Renee's head if he couldn't be with her in person. Surprisingly, Braden agreed, but on the condition that Renee would return to him once he was out of prison. Nonetheless, this gave Renee the opportunity to immerse herself in real life, and she began dating a man from work named Ian. However, Braden didn't keep his promise for long. He found out about his rival and, in his usual manner, started insulting and threatening Ian. In January 2013, Renee and Ian got engaged, but just 2 months later, Ian issued an ultimatum to Renee, to stay with him and stop communicating with Braden or to continue communicating with Braden. Renee, evidently still under the influence of the bad boy she had been involved with for a little over a year, chose Braden. Renee and Braden continued to communicate until July 2013 when Braden informed Renee that his case was being reviewed, and he wouldn't be able to use the phone. Camila went on vacation to the United States and also couldn't chat with her friend, leaving Renee largely on her own. She constantly complained to her colleagues about how difficult it was for her without being able to communicate with her boyfriend. On August 5, 2013, Renee was beside herself with impatience to finally hear the outcome of Braden's case. But after a month of silence, Braden unexpectedly shocked her with the words, "I think I need a break, and you do too." It was a devastating blow for Renee. She spent the entire lunch break crying, informing her boss that she would leave early and explaining the situation to her colleagues, who were already well aware of it. She went home. Seeing her daughter, Renee immediately sensed that something was wrong. But the girl assured her mother that everything was fine. Renee went about her usual business, removed her makeup, changed clothes, and wrote to Braden. She also called the prison where her boyfriend was serving his sentence. Suddenly, Teresa received a message from Braden saying, "Deal with your daughter. She's threatening to kill herself." Teresa asked him with confusion why the young girl would act that way. In his usual manner, Braden replied, "You better know, ask yourself." Teresa went upstairs to her daughter's room and asked Renee if she should be worried. But Renee assured her mother that everything was okay and she was done with Braden because she finally learned what he was truly like. Teresa got dressed and went to pick up her 3 younger children. As she was leaving, she saw Renee changing clothes and putting on makeup. The girl told her mother that she would have lunch with friends. Teresa left, unaware that it would be the last time she saw her daughter. Instead of meeting up with friends, Renee drove for about 50 minutes, leading to the Gap, from Glenhaven, a cliff overlooking the ocean on the southern peninsula of Sydney. Parking near the cliff, she used her car window to express her final declaration of love to Braden with her finger. Walking along the trail to the cliff's edge, Renee took out her phone and messaged 3 people, her best friend Camille, her mother, and Braden. The surveillance camera in that area captured her final movement, as she threw her phone off the cliff before descending out of sight. Upon receiving her daughter's message, in which Renee apologized for the pain she would cause and expressed her love, a worried Teresa tried to call her but was unsuccessful. She contacted Camille to inquire if she knew where her friend was. Camille didn't know Renee's whereabouts either, as her phone was not responding. The last message Camille sent her was at 17:47, expressing her regrets and love. Camille suggested picking up Teresa to search for Renee. They visited several places she would usually frequent, such as McDonald's, and also drove to Braden's sister's house but left when they didn't see Renee's car. Assuming the situation was serious, they contacted the police. Typically, the police don't take immediate action when a 20-year-old girl goes missing, but her messages seemed to provide enough grounds for urgency. The police checked the telecommunications company data used by Renee and discovered that her phone was turned off at 17:58 near the well-known cliff overlooking the ocean. Later that evening, the police found Renee's car approximately 150 meters from the cliff's steps. Inside the car, there was a Valentine's card from Braden and Renee's old iPhone, which she had been using as a music player for the past 2 months. They also found Renee's shoes in the car, but there was no sign of the girl herself. The police realized what had likely occurred and closed the investigation, but the family continued to seek answers to their questions, leading them to Camille and Braden. Mark and Teresa blamed Braden for what happened, as he broke up with their daughter on that day. They tried to contact him, but he didn't respond. They turned to Camille for answers since she had personally met Braden before. However, Camille seemed more concerned about Braden's well-being than what happened to Renee. She insisted that he was in pain and should be left alone. However, when Teresa mentioned giving the police Braden's phone number, Camille's demeanor changed. She began pleading with Teresa to take the number back and started saying unrelated things that made no sense. To understand Camilla's strange behavior, it is necessary to briefly delve into Renee's past. Renee became friends with Camilla when she was 14 or 15 years old. Teresa immediately noticed the negative influence Camilla had on her daughter. Renee's academic performance declined, she started skipping classes, and began smoking. Renee even confessed to her cousin Stephanie that Camilla would occasionally be rude to her, pushing or grabbing her by the hair. However, Camilla's true character revealed itself when 18-year-old Renee met a guy named Angus at the beauty salon where she was interning. Angus mustered up the courage to approach her, and they immediately hit it off. The young couple dated for 2 years and were so confident in the seriousness of their relationship that they began planning a future together, dreaming of having 4 children. Angus admits that those were the best years of his life. Little did he know that their relationship did not bring joy to everyone. Suddenly, Renee broke up with him, shocking Angus to the core. She had seen a message, supposedly written by Angus, stating that he was merely using her and had no intention of being faithful. Camilla showed Renee the message. It was also Camilla who introduced Renee to Braden, assuring her that she had no objection to their communication. Since then, Renee and Braden had been constantly messaging each other. Renee was overjoyed to meet someone who wanted the same things in life as her, family and children. So why did Braden abruptly break up with Renee, metaphorically pushing her off a cliff? The answer could have been found in her new phone had she not thrown it off the cliff. However, a month later, when Renee's parents received her old device, they decided to search for an explanation for his actions there. Once Mark managed to unlock the phone, he discovered 11,000 messages exchanged between Renee, Camilla, and Braden and noticed something strange. He became suspicious when he realized that whenever Camilla's series of messages ended, Braden would start writing, and vice versa. Additionally, their writing style and even their errors were identical. Shocked, Mark and Teresa called Goulburn Prison, and found out that there was no one named Braden Spattery there and never had been. When Mark shared this information with the police, they arrived at a similar conclusion. The police determined that Braden's messages were being pinged from the same cell tower as Camilla's phone, which was nowhere near the prison where Braden was supposed to be. Obviously, Camilla was infatuated with Renee and wanted a relationship with her that Renee couldn't provide. That's why she created her alter ego, Braden, through whom she had complete control over her friend's life. During the summer of 2013, when Camilla went on vacation to the USA and Braden supposedly awaited the outcome of his court case, Renee was left to her own thoughts. The stronger her relationship with Braden became, the more she realized that she was tired of her aggressive, jealous friend whom she was afraid of. This realization became a catalyst that led to the girl's demise. Renee wrote to Camilla, expressing her desire to end their communication. While Camilla was away, she didn't see Renee's message, but upon returning, she read it on the day when Braden's case outcome was supposedly announced. Camilla decided that Braden would break up with Renee. On the same day, Renee and the imaginary Braden exchanged another 91 messages. The content of their conversation is unknown, but Camilla clearly knew about the potential risk, as evidenced by a message she sent to Renee's mother. On that day, Camilla could have told the truth to Teresa and saved her friend, but she continued playing her games. It is uncertain whether Renee found out that she had been deceived all along or not. Investigators discovered that on that day, Renee made a 90-second call to Goulburn Prison. The operator should have informed her that there was no one by that name in the prison. On the other hand, the message she wrote on her car's windshield suggests otherwise. Despite the information known to the police, they couldn't arrest Camilla. Creating fake accounts of non-existent people on social media in Australia is not considered illegal unless the person's actions fall under an existing offence, such as financial fraud. It could have been attempted to prove that Camilla pushed Renee to her final step, but it required access to their last conversation. A search warrant was issued, but it didn't lead to the discovery of the phone used for Renee and Braden's communication. Camilla had also deleted all the correspondence with her friend from her own phone, claiming it was accidental. Teresa then went to the Vodafone office and explained the situation. She was informed that the company only retains messages for 7 days, and if there is no request from the police to preserve the conversation, all messages disappear without a trace. Teresa simply arrived too late. Only after 7 years, in 2020, Teresa and Mark managed to have the case reviewed by the coroner's court. Camilla received immunity, so Renee's family hoped that this would persuade her to tell the whole truth. Camilla did confess to being behind the creation of Braden but claimed that Renee knew about it from the beginning. They allegedly created his profile to be together despite disapproval from others. However, the evidence convincingly proved otherwise. Fortunately, the coroner saw through Camilla's lies and realized that she had sought revenge on Renee by breaking her heart with a non-existent boyfriend. Nevertheless, the coroner couldn't help the Marsden family in any way. In the eyes of the law, Camila had not committed a crime. And the woman who showed no remorse towards the family she had just plunged into pain continued to live her life peacefully just a few kilometers away from the Marsdens' home. She got married and became a mother. Renee's parents often encounter her in the local supermarket because the law proved powerless in this situation. The Marsden family actively advocates for its change, so that Renee's death wouldn't be in vain and to protect other families from the pain caused by online deception. Interestingly, when the media learned about this story, they found the guy whose photo Camila used to create Braden's identity. The young man, by the way, is actually named Cameron and is not familiar with Renee or even Camila. He only speculates that the photo was taken at some club and is simply a random snapshot of strangers.